The new Bmw M240i. It's got a B58. Yay! Actually, it also has xDrive, beefier tyres, and adaptive dampers. So is this M240i now more M than M Light? Or does it drive like it looks? My name's Tom, and you're watching Paragon Cars. Let's go. Now, I know looks are subjective, however, no matter what angle I look at this thing from, it just doesn't do it for me. Don't get me wrong, it certainly looks aggressive, but there's not enough cohesion for me. The lights are the wrong shape, the body lines have no flow to them, and the rear just seems to have this kind of underbite. I like the bonnet though, nice bulge. And that bulge is needed, as it's telling you that it has the B58 inline 6 under the bonnet. Being the revised B58, this now has 374 horsepower over the previous gen's 340. A nice increase, but when you consider it weighs 150 kilos more than the previous car, it certainly needs it. In fact, the power to weight is basically the same. It's actually 0.3 horsepower lower than the previous car. Yeah, awkward. Anyway, let's do the 30 to 70 sprint and see what this pocket rocket can do. Well, I was expecting it to be quick, but my god, it is more than just quick. This thing is only 0.3 seconds off of an Audi RS5, Mercedes C63S and BMW M4. It's not even a full M car, for goodness sake. It is rapid. And that's a good thing, as by the time you've learnt the controls and set yourself up, you'll be far behind your mate in the old BMW M240i. This is the latest and supposedly greatest iDrive system. Sorry BMW, you done f***ed up here. The design is trying to be overly quirky, it's unintuitive to use when compared to previous systems, and the climate control can kindly do one. It's now touchscreen only, so you try changing the temperature whilst going down anything but a glass smooth road in this thing. Thankfully, they didn't screw everything up though, as I think the rest of the interior is nicely laid out. There's some quirky lighting and some surprisingly comfortable seats. The front seats, that is, as trying to get comfortable in the rear is like getting a sports massage by Mike Tyson. And I find this weird, as I swear the previous generation car had a fair amount more room, even though it was smaller. Yeah. Anyway, the boot, it's okay for this size of car. You can fold the seats down to get more room, but to do that you have to first fold the front seats forward. I have to say I'm seeing a lot of form over function things going on in this car, and I'm not liking it. Anyway, enough ranting, let's get on the road and see if it drives better than it looks. Oh, what a fantastic little car. Oh, brilliant. That bump there just deals with it. Up here just deals with it. It's just... Okay, we're a bit short on time today, so I'm going to start this review by doing some of the handling stuff on the motorway, then more of the handling stuff, and then we're going to finish up around town. So, let's go into sports. Sports Plus, that gets the traction off. No, it doesn't. So we're going to press the traction button into DSC traction. It's very complicated, this car. There's a lot of screens and a lot of stuff going on. Right, let's see what happens. Now that is BMW xDrive system sending most of the power to the back. And yeah, it is fast. B58 is a fantastic engine. Already got a Golf R trying to race me. A Golf R that's burning a lot of oil by the looks of it. Doesn't sound quite as good as this. Right, okay. I haven't quite had enough time to get super familiar with this car, So I'm gonna sort of play around with it on the motorway and see what I can do with it. But for now, let's go into Eco Pro, get the traction back on. Yeah, traction's back on. We're in Eco, and we're going to see what kind of MPG we can get out of this thing. Theoretically, should do over 40. Okay, on the motorway, and I have to say, this is quite a bit quieter than the previous Generation 2 series. And, I mean, it feels like a bigger car, because it is. And it's very relaxing, actually, surprisingly relaxing. Now, keep in mind, this is a 2 series, it's not even a 3 series or a 4 series. And this, inside, on the motorway, feels as quiet as the previous Generation 5 series. So in terms of sound isolation, BMW, you've done very well there indeed. But there are a lot of issues with this car, honestly, and it's all in design choices that I just think are so poor. Like, you know, changing the climate control through the touchscreen, the design itself of the dash, I just find confusing, to be honest. But thankfully, seating position, seating comfort is good, visibility is very good, you can get nice and low, it handles like a BMW, steering wheel is too thick, honestly, but seats are very comfortable, car itself is very smooth. I'm just hoping it's going to be good enough on a B road that I can overlook a lot of the shortcomings, because it looks very nice and so far drives very nice. Suspension deals with bumps very well, but on the motorway, yeah, it's definitely better than the previous car. Very smooth. And the handling, I have to say, they have really sorted out the damping for this. It doesn't have that like really fidgety ride anymore. Feels much more like a proper M car, actually. Anyway, we're going to do about 20 miles on the motorway, and we're going to see what MPG we get. I'll see you later. Right, that concludes our motorway section of the review, and we're doing 34.8 miles per gallon. 35 now, which is, it's okay, you know, for a 374 horsepower all-wheel drive sports car. I think that's pretty decent, really. And I do think on a longer run you would maybe just to be able to hit 40 mpg, but you're gonna have to be driving pretty slowly to do that. Anyway, we're not here for economy figures, we're here for some fun. So let's see what this M240i is like on a B road. Right, back onto some fun stuff. So, sports, traction into dynamic, gearbox into manual. Let's have some fun. You do get some nice like pops from the exhaust, although I do think it is a bit of fakery. But my goodness, the amount of grip you get from these tyres. Front end feels very solid. It responds well. You know, if you told me this was the M2, I wouldn't say you were lying. It has insane amounts of grip for just a 240i. You get some nice little like bassy pops from the exhaust. They've done what they can with, you know, all the filters that they have to put in the cars these days. So far, very fun to drive. Let's see if we can get a bit of sound from this sunroof. Yeah, they're sort of like burbles. No pops and bangs or anything, but I'm sure you could fix that with a mid-pipe. I do love the bassiness from the B58 though. steering, just... my goodness. So straight line speed is what I would call adequate for like a performance car, but it's the way it deploys its power that is just mind-boggling. You can't even make this car understeer. It just has, like, let me take this seriously now, just ridiculous amounts of front end grip. I think that is the fastest I've ever been round that corner. Very predictable, very sharp for an M-Lite as well. The older M140 and M240 were very, like, you know, they let go at a very low speed, but were very controllable. This is much more, I'm going to do really fast laps kind of car. My goodness. You've got some serious performance on tap with this thing. Right around here as well. Don't even need full throttle. And you can feel the back end squirming around. It does handle beautifully, I have to say. I can't imagine how ridiculous the new M2 is. I mean, if you drove this and then the old M2, this is going to run rings round it. It's ridiculous how fast this thing is. My God. I'm speechless. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. Who in their right mind needs that much performance from a non-M car? The amount of grip this thing has is mental. This isn't an M-Lite at all. This is a proper M car disguised as an M-Lite. I think they've just gotten so good at making these cars now that M-Lite just means M, as it used to be, and M cars are just proper race cars. I mean, this feels no slower than a Bmw M4, an F80 M4 around there. Like, you can feel there's a little bit less camber on the front, I think. You know, the steering's not quite as eager to turn in. But my goodness, coming out of corners with that X-Drive system and that B58 engine, it just, it's like being catapulted. And it just, it doesn't lose grip. It's weird. Like, you can go faster and faster and faster, and then you start to feel the back end going, even if you're not on the throttle. It just seems to have unlimited front end grip. Suspension in this is vastly superior to the previous car. Like, when you're pushing on, it is serious performance. Anyway, let's go to a smaller B road and see what that's like. Alright, this is where we can really test the suspension in this thing. It's certainly got a lot of grip. One other thing I noticed is, this is a brand new car, yeah? And look, the windscreen wipers don't even work properly. That's a bit crap, innit? Anyway, enough complaining. Oh my goodness! Oh wow, you feel it there actually. My God, it's just so composed compared to the older car. BMW certainly listened, that's for sure. Oh, what a weapon! B58, best engine, hands down. It is just a monster. And with this facelifted car, it's just even better. You just have really smooth power delivery. There's just really nothing to complain about with this engine, honestly. Let's go for a launch. This thing gets up to 60 so fast for what it is. This engine has torque everywhere, yet will still rev to 7 without complaining. It's just a monster. I mean, get an exhaust on this and you're done. You don't need anything else. And the X-Drive system, you know, whilst it does compromise a bit of the steering, it really doesn't ruin the experience. It just aids grip, but still feels rear-wheel drive, which is really nice. Right, one more time. My God. I cannot believe how fast this is. If you told me this had 450 horsepower, I'd believe you. Just the grip it has down a B road is immense. Look at that, the mid-range torque from this engine is mental. I love the way it squirms around as well. It's not scaring you, it's just letting you know that it can do some crazy stuff. But when all is said and done, this is going to be your daily driver. And there are some fundamental flaws in the design of this car that, for me, I'm sorry, I just couldn't overlook them. It doesn't matter how well this car drives on the right bit of road, just there are some design flaws that just do not make sense. We're going to take it round town now, and I'm going to talk about some of the things that I would change, what I would have done better, and yeah, just overall how I could improve the car. Okay, so the flaws that I can't look over. One, obviously it's the climate controls and the dash. Just have buttons, BMW. I know it costs you more money probably, but it makes a huge difference. I don't have to take my eyes off the road in my 140i. I can just set the temperature with my hand, not a care in the world. This, if you're on a bumpy road, you're trying to do this constantly, and honestly, it is just dangerous. Next up, dash design. You got two big screens, look very fancy, but this dash design, I just can't get on with it. It just doesn't look that nice. And honestly, it just feels like there's too much going on, which is weird because there's less buttons. There's just a lot of stuff that is a big learning curve. And now I'm young, I'm used to technology. I can't imagine someone older getting in this thing. And they're going to have to be reading the manual for days before they actually understand every feature of this car. And it's annoying because the way this thing drives is so nice. Steering is good, not a huge amount of feel, but it's BMW, it does what you want. The car is an absolute monster as well. In terms of parking, pretty easy really. This is a fairly highly spec'd car. So you've got a 360 camera, plenty of steering lock. And whilst the car is bigger, it's not like huge. It's not 5 Series big. And if you're good at parking, you can obviously get into the space in one go. But I'm not, so obviously I didn't. The other thing I really don't like is the gear shift. I don't know why manufacturers are going to these little switches for their gear knobs. I don't know why they're doing that. It's just, I keep going down there to reach for a proper gear handle, and it's just not there. It also means when you're in manual, you can't do the sort of rally style shifting that you used to be able to do in the older car, which I do kind of miss really. So to drive, fantastic car. To live with, I'm sorry, it's just a pain. It is just irritating to live with. Also, one other thing that's probably just me, but this is a brand new car and it has this really pretty nasty smell inside of it that's coming from the leather, and it's actually making me feel a little bit sick, I can't lie. Again, that might just be me. That's not a problem with every car, and the smell might dissipate after a while, but it is making me feel a little bit ill. So, BMW, things you need to do: add buttons back for the climate control. Please, for the love of God, do not keep this system. It just sucks. It really sucks. Have a switch for your lights down here. I don't know why you've gone to individual buttons for things. It's irritating. Bring back a proper gear stick, please. I like the rally style shifting you used to be able to do with the ZF gearbox. And just make your infotainment a bit simpler. There's so much stuff in it now that it's like navigating through a completely different operating system. I mean, it's like trying to learn Windows 10 all over again. And like, you know, imagine like you've never used a Windows computer before. It's literally like that. To drive though, fantastic car. But for the love of God, you're going backwards in terms of design and UI usability. It's just such a shame, because to drive, this is a fantastic car. But honestly, if it was up to me, I would have just bought the old one and saved myself a lot of money. Anyway, as always, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, give it a like, and why not subscribe, as not only can you see more content like this, you can see everything we have for sale, which unfortunately doesn't include this lovely BMW M240i. Anyway, my name's Tom, and you've been watching Paragon Cars. I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.